the reason I want to keep talking about this Harvey Weinstein thing is not just because it's Hollywood. I do think it's an important story. I do think it has a lot of important things to say. And I'm not going to just be picking on Hollywood because, first of all, I've worked out here quite a lot. Hollywood is not a monolithic thing. It is too overrun with liberals. The left has too much of a stranglehold on it. But it's not like everybody gets together in a room and plots things. It's different businesses, different people, a lot of really nice people out here. And not everybody is abusing women. Plenty of religious people and good people and all this stuff. But this story is amazing because this guy was king of the pack. Harvey Weinstein was the king. His movies are terrific. His movies are excellent. I think we have a question in the mailbag about that. We have a lot of really good questions in the mailbag today, but that's one of them, I think. So everybody's talking about the women coming forward, how wonderful it is, how heroic it is that these women are coming forward. And of course, they're coming forward after 20 years. And I'm not blaming them one bit. They are not to blame. The women are not to blame here. But, it's not heroic, to keep quiet for 20 years and then come out. Hillary Clinton finally has come out and says something. She says, I was shocked. And she sounds like the guy in Casablanca. What's his name? Who says, I'm shocked to find gambling going on in this casino. She's shocked to find sexual abuse going on in Hollywood. I was shocked and appalled by the revelations about Harvey Weinstein. The behavior described by women coming forward cannot be tolerated. Their courage and the support of others is critical in helping to stop this kind of behavior. And we're going to get to that. Like, where is the courage here exactly? And what's the problem? What is the problem? Because there's always been powerful guys who abuse women. Always, always, always. There always will be, I guess. I think as long as there are powerful men, guys who get to the top without any kind of consideration of morality or decency or principle, there are always going to be people who then, when they get to the top, abuse the people around them, and especially the people under them. But this is, Ronan Farrow's piece, I didn't have time to read it all yesterday. Ronan Farrow wrote this piece for The New Yorker, right? He says 3 of the women he talked to said Weinstein raped them. Okay? Not like as Whoopi Goldberg would say, that's rape, right? She said of Roman Polanski, well, it wasn't rape. It's like, yeah, no, that's rape. 3 women said he raped. And by the way, I will say Weinstein has denied all of this. He denies anything. But he says the allegations include Weinstein forcibly performing or receiving oral sex and forcing vaginal sex. 4 women said that they experienced unwanted touching that could be classified as an assault. One woman said that Weinstein brought her to a hotel room under a professional pretext, changed into a bathrobe, and forced himself on me sexually. She said no repeatedly and clearly. Afterward, she experienced horror, disbelief, and shame and considered going to the police. I thought it would be a he said, she said, and I thought about how impressive his legal team is, and I thought about how much I would lose, and I decided to just move forward. The woman continued to have professional contact with Weinstein after the alleged rape and acknowledged that subsequent communications between them might suggest a normal working relationship. I was in a vulnerable position and I needed my job. It just increases my shame and my guilt. And, I just want to be clear because I am going to talk about the fact that, I think when you've kept quiet and now you come forward, I think that's a good thing. It's a positive thing. And, nothing but praise for the women who are coming forward and speaking out. But it doesn't rank as heroism to me because, of course, all this time went by. But I just want to make it really clear that I totally understand what it means to need a job and not be able to speak out and to be up against. This guy's a monolith. He is, got a legal team. He's litigious. He's happy to sue you. He's happy to threaten to sue you. But just for all the people, I think it was who's the guy who plays Batman now? Sorry, I've lost. Ben Affleck. It was Ben Affleck who said he didn't know about this, and one of the women tweeted back, what do you mean? You told me about it. You told me it was happening. It was an open secret, and Fox News just played this semi-montage of people making jokes about it on 30 Rock and at the Oscars. This is cut number 4.
Oh, please. I'm not afraid of anyone in show business. I turned down intercourse with Harvey Weinstein on no less than 3 occasions out of 5.
Congratulations, you 5 ladies no longer have to pretend to be attracted to Harvey Weinstein.
That's a funny line from Tina Fey's show. That was a really funny show. But yeah, so I turned him down 3 times out of 5. But it does suggest that they knew what was going on. The one on the Oscars is a little more unclear because Harvey Weinstein was this gnome-like figure. He's not an attractive man at all. He's a horrible, burly, ugly guy. But so you might have made that joke about any powerful guy. But the point is, this was covered up. Ronan Farrow, the guy who writes the New Yorker piece, works for NBC. He's a, he's a, whatever they call him, a contributor to NBC. He's on with Rachel Maddow, and he doesn't want to bite the hand that feeds him. And he starts out by saying, well, I don't want to say why NBC. She says to him, why didn't you bring this to NBC? And he says, well, I don't want to say anything bad about it. But listen, as the interview goes on, Farrow will not back down, and he won't, cover up the fact NBC potted the story. Listen to this.
Over many years, many news organizations have circled this story and faced a great deal of pressure in doing so. And there are now reports emerging publicly about the kinds of pressure that news organizations face in this. And that is real. In the course of this reporting, I was threatened with a lawsuit personally by Mr. Weinstein. And, we've already seen that the Times has been publicly threatened with a suit. I don't want to describe any suits leveled at other organizations that I work with, but certainly this is a considerable amount of pressure that outlets get as well.
And NBC says that, the story wasn't publishable, that it wasn't ready to go by the time that you brought it to them. But obviously it's ready to go by the time you got it into the New Yorker.
I walked into the door at the New Yorker with an explosively reportable piece that should have been public earlier, and immediately, obviously, the New Yorker recognized that, and it is not accurate to say that it was not reportable. In fact, there were multiple determinations that it was reportable at NBC.
Wow. Wow. That's like an explosively reportable piece. And the New Yorker grabbed it, he says, but he had obviously gone to NBC with it first, who obviously want to go be on TV instead of in the New Yorker, which nobody reads. And, unless it has a piece like this in it, they turned him down. And when he didn't want to say it at first, but when Rachel Maddow says, they're saying it wasn't reportable, the story wasn't any good, he called BS on him. So this obviously happened at the Times, that the woman wrote that it happened at the New York Times. It obviously was happening everywhere. And remember, Weinstein assaulted a reporter in front of other reporters, and it didn't make the news. This stuff was happening all the time. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because as far as the women go, as the victims go, this plays into it, What do you do if they're not going to print the story? If you're going to go up against this powerful guy who has a lot of power over you, power not just if you happen to be working for him, but power to ruin your life, power to make phone calls to your agent, power to, tell people not to hire you. You can be turned off in this town like that by a couple of phone calls if they just say don't. If Harvey Weinstein calls and says, look, this woman's trouble, don't hire her, she's not going to get hired. And if the press is protecting you, and not just the press, here's Barack Obama finally came out and made a statement, typical mealy-mouthed, mushy statement from Barack Obama. Michelle and I have been disgusted by the recent reports about Harvey Weinstein. Any man and he put this statement out, he didn't come out and say it. Any man who demeans and degrades women in such fashion needs to be condemned and held accountable regardless of wealth or status. We should celebrate the courage of women who have come forward to tell these painful stories, and we all need to build a culture including by empowering our girls and teaching our boys decency and respect so we can make such behavior less prevalent in the future. As always with Obama, I think that's exactly not what we need. But the point is, he says these people need to be held accountable. But here is Gabe Sherman, a Vanity Fair special reporter in Vanity Fair covering all the celebs and all this stuff, pointing out that even while these rumors were spread, and even while anybody who knew Harvey Weinstein knew about them, and like I said, even I, who was a screenwriter, which is basically the lowest position you can hold in Hollywood, even I knew that there was abuse. I didn't actually know about sexual abuse. It would not be something that would come my way, but I certainly knew that this was an abusive guy. But listen to Gabe Sherman's, this is his experience of covering a speech by Barack Obama at which Harvey Weinstein, a big Democrat donor, was present.
Clearly, people did know that there were allegations of Harvey's behavior with women. It was an open secret in Hollywood and in media circles. And, I was at an event months back right after President Obama left office, in which he gave a speech. And the first person, I was really struck by this, the first person he went over to greet on the rope line was Harvey Weinstein. And President Obama's daughter, Malia, interned for him. And I, as a reporter, sort of knowing the rumors and the gossip, was shocked, knowing what's out there, that President Obama would legitimize Harvey Weinstein in that way. And I think that is partly why women felt so scared to come forward, because the most powerful people in the country, from actors to journalists to politicians, were all surrounding themselves around Harvey.
Well, bingo, right? The president of the United States is moving to shake this guy's hand before anybody else, or maybe former president at this point, but still. And you're a woman who maybe is not famous, maybe is just, or maybe even is famous, and knows that you can be cut down. Why would, how are you supposed to overcome that? I do not see, I'm not calling these women heroes because I feel like it all happened so late. Heroic would have been blowing the whistle on God and really taking the heat from him. It was only when his power started to ebb that people came out with this stuff. But they're certainly not, they're not to blame. They're not in any way to blame. And it was what Obama said about what we need to empower our girls and teach our boys decency and respect. I don't think that's what we need at all, because the men are key here. And that's why I wanted to point out one guy who at least did something. He didn't do enough, but he at least did something before